My name is Joshua Wathanga. I am the chair of Hesabika Trust. I really should say I'm outgoing. I've been on this journey since we started. My other co-founder trustees have retired, so I'm looking for retirement, but I'm so happy to have the opportunity of welcoming each one of you here tonight. And we are so glad that you came. And because I'll not be able to appreciate everyone from here, I want us to welcome each other and to thank each other for coming. Let's applaud each other as we... Let me mention just a few people, if you allow me to do that. First of all, representing the steering committee of the Code of Conduct and Governance Guidelines, I think we have Bishop Kefa Omai, who was a co-chair of the people who wrote particularly the Code of Conduct. And if you look at, and everyone will have a copy of this. If you don't have it there, a copy will be brought to you, and don't go home without this. At the end of this booklet, page 74, you'll find the names of the technical people who happened to all be elders, deacons, PCC members, pastors. Everybody who participated in this was not a stranger to church ministry. So Bishop Kefa Omai, on behalf of the steering committee, grateful that you're here and for the work that you've done. Let me also acknowledge, and they are going to be acknowledged again, but let me acknowledge speakers and panelists who are here this evening. And we are so very glad that they've been able to come. Let me start with Reverend Honorable Mutava Musimi, who was the chair of the Presidential Task Force on the review of the legal and regulatory framework governing religious organizations. So Reverend Mutava Musimi, he is here. Let's appreciate him. Wonderful. And we have a very wonderful panel that we're going to hear from in a number of minutes. Let me start not in any order, but let me start with Bishop Dr. Mark Karaoke, who is the General Overseer of Deliverance Churches. He was also the member of the Presidential Task Force. Then Reverend Dr. Alphonse Kaga, Regional Chair of NCCK and member of the Presidential Task Force. He is here. So glad to have him. Apostle Isaac Mwangi, Secretary General, Alliance of Registered Churches of Kenya, ARCK. He was also a member of the steering committee of the Code of Conduct. We are so happy to have you, Apostle, and he is here. Thank you so much. And we are so glad to have Archbishop Dr. Harrison Nganga, EBS. He is the chair of the Charismatic Churches of Kenya, and we are so glad to have you, Archbishop. Let's appreciate him again. And moderating this panel to come is Joy Mudivo. She's the Executive Director of East Africa Center for Law and Justice. She has been on this journey longer than most people in seeking the best way for churches to self-regulate. At some point, she was a legal advisor for the EAK, and she has done so much for the body of Christ. Joy Mudivo, where are you? Let's appreciate. Let me appreciate our senior counsel, Charles Kajama. He is from Muma Kajama Advocates, member of the Presidential Task Force. He was also in the steering committee of the Code of Conduct, and he did a lot of work, and his law firm gave a lot of time to to really helping us rewrite the code of conduct in the way that it's been done. Hey, that's not enough appreciation for senior counsel. Thank you. One person who is not on the program, and I really want us to appreciate her, is Bernice Gachego. She is a fellow of certified secretaries. She is also a former registrar general, and she was a registrar for many of the bodies that are the registrar general, including political parties and churches and matatus and all that. I mention Bernice because many of you church leaders have interacted with Bernice when she was a registrar general, and she continues to really be a huge blessing and resource to the body of Christ in this country. Recently, she was ordained, so she's also Reverend Bernice Gachego. Let's appreciate her, Bernice. Thank you so much. Let me also appreciate another very special team of people, our partners. For those of you who might wonder, Hesabika, what do? We see ourselves as some of us lay Christians, others are in ministry, but people concerned about this nation. And we sense a calling to catalyze the body of Christ to a moral, socio-economic, values-driven transformation for this country. We don't have any godfathers in terms of funding and so on. Funding for Hesabika comes from pockets of individuals like ourselves, and so it's not always easy to do this work. It's even harder when we are doing work like the code of conduct and governance guidelines, because when we ask people for funding, they say, you want us to fund you so that you can support the church. Why can't the church support its own work? So that becomes very, very difficult even to seek a funding for the kind of work we are doing, like with the code of conduct. I mentioned this to you, particularly for those of you who are church leaders, that when we come to you and we say, we are here as Christian professionals wanting to serve the body of Christ. So when we come to you, and it's the same for our sister organization and ministry, KCPF, Kenya Christian Professionals Forum, we are here for you as a body of Christ. So we invite you to really be supportive to the work that we do on your behalf. And so there are some partners who acknowledge that, and so they have come alongside us so that they can help us to do a little bit more than we would just with the funding from individuals like ourselves. And so, not in any order, let me acknowledge the partners who are here. And I'll mention your name, and if those representing that organization is here, please stand so that we can appreciate you. Let me start with CIC Group. CIC Group, if you are here, let's appreciate our CIC Group. Thank you very much. Institute of Certified Secretaries, if you are here represented, yes, at the back, thank you. Tier Fund, are you represented? They are not represented, but let's appreciate Tier Fund Kenya. Musimi and Company Advocates, they are represented here, yes, thank you. Africa International University, yes, there is a table of AIU there. Let me go to World Relief. World Relief, where are you? Wonderful, wonderful. I can see I omitted a very special partner here. Compassion International, where are you seated? Compassion International, thank you so much. Thank you so much. CITAM, are you represented? Yes, there is a representative from CITAM. Thank you very much. KCPF, led by the chair, who is Senior Counsel Kajama, and there are others who are here. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Bible Society of Kenya. Bible Society of Kenya, are you here? Yes. And I may have omitted someone. If I did, sorry about that, but you are all partners. So even if I wasn't able to mention you, hey, appreciate yourselves and let's appreciate each other. The last thing I'll say before I introduce our speaker is just to say and reiterate that Hesabika, we see ourselves as catalysts, and we have been involved in other things. Some of you may know of Hesabika because of the work we are doing in supporting the prophetic ministry of the church. But we have been involved in mentorship programs, particularly governance internship program, for those young people who sense a calling to public service and to politics. So that's one of our other flagship programs we've been involved in. We've been involved in anti-corruption initiatives and so on. I mentioned that we are catalysts because we don't presume that even with the code of conduct, we are going to be able to roll it out and to help with the implementation and do training and capacity building in the whole of Kenya. We couldn't. And even if you are a large organization, it will be impossible. And so our role is to catalyze. And some of the things we'll be talking about tonight is how these partners and organizations are helping us in the rollout. And later we will tell you about some of the programs that we are in the process of forming so that this work, particularly with the code of conduct and governance guidelines, can actually be able to reach everybody out there and all the churches. I now have the honor to invite a speaker, keynote speaker, to just help us to start bringing our thoughts, particularly to the whole question about why self-regulation is not his topic, but that's the theme. And Reverend Honorable Mutava Musemi, I mentioned that, of course, he was the chair of the Presidential Task Force on the review of the legal and regulatory framework governing religious organizations. He's got many other titles because he's been in ministry for many years. He was ordained as an Anglican. In fact, he reminded me it was in this church here at All Saints where he was ordained. And he's done many other things, including being senior pastor at Nairobi Baptist Church, general secretary of NCCK, member of parliament, and many other things that I will not be able to necessarily mention just now. And so we are so very honored to have one of us, and a minister of the gospel, to also to have been the chair of this very, very important task force. And so join me in welcoming Reverend Mutava Musemi.